good? Hello, and welcome to the Action Lab here on multiple platforms. Again, we are multi-streaming here today. I am your host, Chris, and this is my co-host, Scott. We are going to get you through your Wednesday and make sure that you have all the knowledge you need in the sports world to get you through not only your day, your week, your month, maybe even your year. So we have a lot going on. We have a lot to talk about. Scotty, how are we doing on a Wednesday so far today?
Doing good. I didn't know we were going to get a Friends lyric right off the bat, so I liked it. No, feeling good. Just making it one day at a time with the extended, family at 5 now and back in the office and stuff. So it's been busy, but feeling good to get on this show.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We have a lot to get to. We are multi-streaming, by the way, here. We have a lot of things going on. So we tried it out last week or this past Sunday. We are streaming on Facebook. We are streaming on Twitch, and we are streaming on YouTube. So bear with me. I was getting, my camera's all messed up earlier, so bear with me on that. But looks like we already have 3 or 4 people jumping in on Facebook. Steph, Patrick, Brandon, Anders, John, thank you all for watching. Belly for Prez in our Twitch chat, thank you so much for popping in. He is ready to go and fired up. So we are off and running. I hope all of you guys are having a fantastic week so far. It's been, kind of a lighter week when it comes to the sports world. We've had a couple different things happen over the weekend that we're going to catch up on. But then we also had just, some, general things that, we're going to be touching on that maybe not so popular when it comes to all of the things that, we're going to be in the grand scheme of like the sports world. We have some NBA All-Star stuff, maybe some golf stuff. So we have a little bit of everything, but we're teasing something. Do we know something about the Denver Broncos quarterback that no one else knows? Scott says he has a nugget that I don't even know about. I don't even know about this. We were prepping.
It's more of an idea than a nugget, but I can't wait to share it with you.
Well, I can't wait to hear it because there's been a lot of news going on with all of that. So we're going to dive into that. By the way, guys, keep all the chat rolling. We love to hear all of your comments. We like to see what your thoughts are on everything that we're discussing. If you have something that you want to talk about that we're not discussing, throw it in the chat, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on Twitch, and we will make sure that we cover as much as possible. So, again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you're here and you're not following on Twitch, hit that follow button. On Facebook, we actually created a Action Lab Facebook account this past week. So eventually we're going to shift over to that account once we start streaming to that. So just want to get that little housekeeping piece out of the way. So once you guys go over and you follow on that, that's where we're going to be going live from here on out. So I will leave that link. We're going to put that on our Facebook accounts and everything else, but we're not ready to quite go there yet. So I think we'll give it a couple more streams, and then we're going to start guiding you over that direction. So keep that in mind for future movement when it comes to where you can find us live on Facebook. But let's go ahead. Scott, are you ready to dive into this news rundown?
Let's go.
I think Belly for Prez is already off and running with his comment. He's fired up for the show. This might be our best show yet.
Just like each one we have.
Just like each one. We always say this is our best show yet, and then we just keep topping it over and over and over, right? So we're going to keep that rolling. And then later on in the show, we have our NBA shooting guard tier list. So we want you to chime in and see if we got these right or not. Our record on tier lists is astronomical. We kill it on our tier list. So we want to make sure that, you guys are here to see all of the glory that is our tier list. So let's go ahead. We can dive in. We have 5 topics here for our news rundown, and we are going to go each and every one of them topic by topic and just tell you our thoughts on these various things that have been either popping up in the news or, just various things that are going on in the world of sports. So first off, we're getting closer and closer to March Madness. What is it today? It is February... I don't even know.
I believe it's the 17th.
17th. So we are inching closer and closer to March Madness, which means we're starting to get in that range of who's in, who's out. Everyone is all about trying to figure out who's going to be the national champion this year. There's a lot of great teams, but also there's a lot of teams that maybe didn't make this list because, we've talked on previous shows about Duke and North Carolina and Kentucky and Kansas maybe not being those top echelon teams like they're typically historically been. So we're going to kind of dive in. We have some preliminary lists put out by some experts, and we're going to go in and see what that's all about. So as far as that goes, let's dive in. We have this little bracketology breakdown here of some of the, we're going to go section by section of the bracket, region by region. So we're going to go through this and we're kind of get your thoughts on all of these. So Scotty, we have this region 1. We have Gonzaga in there as the number 1 seed. I don't think there's any question that Gonzaga is going to be that top seed. Regardless, they might be top overall seed. I don't know why you're giving me that look.
When you said top seed, I thought you were saying they're guaranteed top overall, and I think Baylor still has a shot at that. But being on the 1 line, yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So Gonzaga is going to be in that mix for the top overall seed. So that's going to be pretty interesting to see if they could stay there. Again, Baylor will have something to say about that. But as far as this goes, North Carolina is a funny one on this one because typically they're not as far down as they are, but they're supposedly in this particular bracketology ranking in that 16th spot, battling North Dakota State if this is all going according to where it's at.
I think that's North Carolina AT&T.
Oh, my bad.
No,
I don't actually. Is North? I'm not gonna lie. It's so tiny on our screen that I didn't see the AT&T there.
Yeah, no.
But
if North Carolina came in as a 16 seed, something would be very very wrong. Not that they're that good, but generally that's reserved for the smaller schools. And so North Carolina would, if they got assigned a 16 seed. Actually, right now they're on the bubble, but that won't put them as a 16 seed. That'll put them right on the 12 line in that 5-12 game. So North Carolina being on the bubble alone, which we'll see whether they're included in this bracket or not, is super interesting in itself. That they may not make the tournament. You have, and we've talked about this. All these blue bloods that are just struggling this year. Kentucky, Duke just had their freshmen get benched, and then he basically decided to leave the team to prepare for the draft, and AKA I didn't like the fact that I was benched, so I'm out.
Anders in Facebook chat. So Anders Simmons asking thoughts on the Zags potentially opting out of the WCC tourney. I haven't really heard too much about some of those rumblings. Scotty, I don't know if you've heard about any of that either. But I assume they're going to be going through with that. I think that's going to help their cause when it comes to seeding and all of that stuff in the overall tourney. They're going to go undefeated most likely. So that's going to be one of those things where I don't know if it's really going to matter. But and just keep in mind, guys, as far as this goes, the chat for Facebook, for some reason, it's not showing up on our main stream. So don't worry. I'm going to get to all your comments on the Facebook side and all the Twitch side. I have you guys popping through as well. So we'll get to all of your comments, everything here. And then we can, try to balance it out. But your thoughts on the Zags potentially opting out of the WCC tourney, Scotty?
I guess it makes sense. It's not like they need to play in that tournament to hold the 1 seed. They'd be it regardless. I don't know. I know as a friend of people that have gone to Gonzaga, I know they have that tournament in Vegas every year at Orleans, and it's a lot of fun for people to go down. And I don't know if they'll have fans there or not this year. What is going on with that? But I don't know. For college basketball, the more you can see, the better, I think. So in that sense, it's not great. I maybe they're doing it. I haven't looked, for health reasons, to just ensure that they're going COVID-free into March Madness, which I understand. But they also play their tournament generally a little earlier than the other teams. So I feel like they should, even if someone got COVID in that tournament, they'd still have time to recover and be cleared by the time the actual NCAA tourney starts. But I could be wrong on that. But either way, I don't know. Maybe conference tournaments don't make a ton of sense in general this year, except for those smaller conferences where the winner gets the auto bid. But as a fan, you just want to see basketball, right? You want to see a lot of good games, and you want to see Gonzaga, who's clearly one of the top two, if not number one team in the nation, play as much as they can.
Yeah. We got a couple comments in the chat. Monder, great to see you back here again. It's been a while since we've seen you in chat, so thank you for popping back in. Marlene enjoys Chris's two-tone background. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. It's. I still haven't had a chance to get the background lighting over to Scotty's house quite yet. I see Scotty's added a plant back there that wasn't there, maybe.
That might be. I don't know. I got some things in the work, but a running joke that we've had is that you have 2 lights in the backlight and I have 0, so it's a little selfish of you that you can't just give me one of those.
Ben, can't get the stream to start. Looks like the chat is working though. Ben, let us know if you're still having trouble and we could try to get something fixed for you. I don't know if that's something that we might need to just tweak or something, but and Monder again would have been on time, but jamming out to Duran Duran concert footage. Yeah, who isn't jamming out to Duran Duran?
I know Monder probably is every day.
Belly for Prez, still looking for my Bobo poster. It's on the way. I think it is on the way. So Scotty, just get that rolling.
I mean, if I got a Bobo poster, it wouldn't even fit in the background, right? I don't know where that would go.
No, I don't know. If you get the life-size one. A couple others here. I was going to say Iowa is on this list. Iowa, I've been watching a couple of their games this year. They got that stud center on their team. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I need to really get into my college basketball zone here and just kind of, understand some of the players and things. But Iowa, I think they're a team to watch out. I just don't believe in Iowa. I don't think that they're as good as what their ranking is. For some reason, it's just they just don't pass the eyeball test for me. And I just think that they're one of those teams keep them for like those high tier upsets. So keep that on your radar when I'm looking at this first region on this this bracketology list.
I'm a big believer in Ken Palm. I've kind of talked about it. It's a site where basically statistical analysis, and it's Luke Garza, by the way, is the guy you're
Luke
talking
Garza,
about.
correct.
He has Iowa as having the number one offense in all of college basketball and the 107th ranked defense. So they don't play any D at all. So I don't think that's a great recipe because if you're not playing defense in the tournament, all it takes is one off shooting day and you're done. So I think it holds up a lot more if you can lock down on defense and consistently, even if you're not playing well in the offensive end of the court, you're going to be in the game. So I kind of agree with you that, they're going to have a hard time making a lot of moves there. But yeah, Garza's damn good. And they're a lot of fun to watch offensively or just a lot of fun to watch in general if you like a lot of points because they give up a ton too.
P. Nix in the chat, 9 days between WCC championship, first Thursday game. So might be out first 2 rounds if someone gets COVID. I think COVID's going to be the weird thing with this NCAA tournament. I'm curious to see how they're going to go about trying to limit how the spread of COVID and like affecting postponed games. Obviously, March Madness is a specific time of the year, so that's going to be extending that. And the schedule and what they put in place for that is going to be interesting. Zags dominated Iowa. Absolutely. They made Iowa look like a subpar team. I still think the Zags have been one of the best teams, if not the best team that I've seen all season long. I haven't watched a ton of Baylor quite yet. I've tried to catch some of their games, but yeah, I think there's going to be a fantastic matchup if they can, meet at some point within the tournament. And so, yeah, lot to go there. Otherwise, I like Belmont in this specific region as well. Belmont, they're a team that I've kind of thrown a couple bets on recently, and they've just been crushing. So I'll keep betting on Belmont through this. Of course, they're playing Florida State, who looked fantastic the other day against Virginia. So if this ends up being the way it is, so that would be a heck of a 5-12, and that would be on my 12 upset. There's always those 5-12 upsets. That would be one of those that could be up there, but Florida State looks good as well. So as far as this goes,
this region looks weak as hell to me. I could be wrong, but Gonzaga, if this was actually what happened, Gonzaga should roll through this. Houston at the 2, Iowa at the 3, Tennessee at the 4. None of these teams are going to compete with Gonzaga. And just overall, you look up and down, and there's not a team even deeper that you're like, oh man, that team is really dangerous and could really give them trouble, or on an off night from Gonzaga could beat them. I just don't see it in that region at all.
Yeah. And this could change. Again, this is just all speculative, but it's fun to just start getting an idea of what kind of teams are going to be in the mix. So let's go ahead and let's go to our next region here. So this is region number 2. So on this one, here's where you find that Baylor matchup on that number one seed against either like a St. Mary's, who was in the WCC, or Prairie View at number 16. I don't anticipate that to be any upset. Obviously, that's going to be one of those where it's just inevitable. Monder in chat, your viewers will climb on the sex appeal alone. Keep up number 1. Monder, are you leaving? You better be staying around. Ryan Gosling without Blade Runner. See, now we're getting all the pop culture references here. We're having some fun. Let's get into it, right? Thanks, Monder, for all the love in the chat. I love it. Facebook chat, you're a little silent. So if you want to throw in any ideas of what you see here, go ahead and throw that in. Kansas, your boys, going against St. Louis in this particular region. St. Louis is a team that's been pretty strong over the last couple tournaments. They've, come across and done some good things and made some good runs. But, yeah, what do you think about your boys being ranked 6th in this initial bracketology spot?
I don't think it's wrong. I hate looking at that. Like, they haven't been – like, literally, I look at their history of their seeding. They were, last year they would have been a number 1 seeded team in all the tournament had they actually played it. They were the number 1 team in the country. 2019 they were a 4 seed, but before that, 1 1 1 2 2 1 2 1 1 3 1 1 4 3 4 2 1 4 8. So you have to go back to 2000 for the last time they were a seed that bad. But it hasn't been a great season for Kansas. They've won a few recently, at least, and look like they'll beat K-State tonight. But they've kind of played some of the lesser teams in the Big 12 recently to kind of get some momentum going. We'll see. This region looks a little. I mean, every region is going to look stronger to me than that one garbage region we just saw. Obviously Baylor's right there with Gonzaga, as we talked about, for top team. I think. And one of my buddies is an Oregon fan. Oregon hasn't been healthy like at all this year. If they're healthy, they're a dangerous 10 seed. Like Illinois, that Big Ten's been pretty strong at the top this year with Illinois and Ohio State and a couple other teams like Iowa. So they'll be battle tested. USC's been hot recently out west in the Pac-12. So this one to me has way more depth and way more unknown, even though Baylor is clearly the best team in this region. It's a way stronger region to me than that first region, which was kind of pathetic to me.
Yeah, and then I watched the Purdue game last night. They played Michigan State. That game was interesting, too. I thought that I had a little bit of money on Purdue as well. I've been doing a lot of college basketball bets, Scotty, and they've been actually panning out for me. So hopefully that keeps rolling. But it's also given me a chance to see some of these teams in action, and I stress out over my bets, and I just start getting into some of these players and these teams. And so I'm getting into it at the right time, I think, right before the season kicks off. But in the PNIX in the chat, Illinois and Nova could challenge Baylor in the bracket. Definitely tougher thanks to the Zags. Definitely tougher than the Zags bracket. That's 100% true. I think Nova is one of those teams that's kind of flown under the radar as a high ranked team so far this year. You don't really see too many Nova highlights or a lot of people talking about them, but they're slowly putting together some nice wins and getting a good season under their belt. So that's one to watch in this particular region. So this is going to be an interesting one. I think I would like to watch this region definitely more so than even though I'm a Gonzaga fan, definitely more so than that first region that we just looked at. But let's continue on here. The next region here is going to be with this is our green region. We don't really have names for these. Sorry, guys. The production value is just awful right now. Just kidding.
I don't know if they're giving them all regions this year since it's all going to be played in Indy. I don't even know if they're going to name them like they normally do. West, South, East, and Midwest. So
yeah. So I don't know, but here's that third region. Michigan is leading the way here at the 1 seed, and then you also have Oklahoma as the 3, Virginia as the 2, and the Texas Tech as 4. So this is going to be one of those other regions. Colorado, you see that on the list. Colorado pops in. In case you don't know, we're Colorado boys here. And so the fact that they are playing as well as they're playing and they are able to jump in and hopefully get a good spot, PNIX, go Buffs. Yeah, let's go Buffs, baby. Let's go. Let's see what you can do in the tournament. So far, they've been absolutely awful in tournaments. Anytime they make it, they're usually one and done, or they just don't have the gas to get through. But this might be a different year. They're playing a lot better, and I think they have a really good chance to make some noise in the tournament. So they're well coached, and they have been doing. I think they've been. That's one of their strong points is their coaching. So I think they can do some good things here. As far as these other ones, I don't really see too much else here that really excites me here. You got that there, the real North Carolina at that 12 seed there with Stanford. So
and you can see they're on the bubble. They're in that play-in game. So
yes,
they have to win a game just to really get in the tournament on this level. So
absolutely. So what are your thoughts on this one?
Good to see, as you talked about, Colorado in a region. This whole tournament is going to be really interesting to prove. These brackets imply that the Big Ten is very top heavy and very good at the top. You have Michigan as a 1 seed. We'll get into the next 1 seed in the last one, but that's also a Big Ten school. You have Illinois on a 2 line. You have Iowa on a 3 line. So that's 4 teams, very highly thought of, all from the Big Ten. So it'll be interesting to see. There is so far one team. This whole bracket should be null and void if Colorado State is not on it. All right, because they have had an incredible year as well. They're 11-3 in conference play. They would be 13-3. They just had 2 postponed games against New Mexico, who's only won 1 conference game all year. So we'll see if Colorado State's in this last one. If not, I'm going to be up in arms because I've already seen Utah State in this region on the 11 line, who's basically behind or right with CSU in the standings. They have San Diego State as an 8 seed, who's right there with CSU, and one more team that I'm forgetting right off the top of my head. Yeah, I can't. Oh, Boise State. Boise State's going to be in this one as well, and somehow they have Colorado State out. This is just one person's opinion. Obviously, ESPN has bracketology as well with Joe Lunardi, and they have Colorado State as a play-in game. So they're in on that one. That'd be really sweet to see, though, if both Colorado and Colorado State teams can find a way to be in the tournament the same year.
And just hold that thought. We're going to get to that here.
Not exactly a college basketball powerhouse.
We're going to get to that. The last 4 in and the first four in and last 4 out. We're going to get into that as well. And there may be a familiar Colorado State name on that list one way or the other. So that's a little teaser here. But Colorado State, we have a lot of Colorado State people that follow the channel and follow us on Facebook. So, hey, I know we had the buffs. We had some SCO buffs by P. Nixon. Hey, go Rammies for anyone else who's in the chat that wants to support those Rammies. So, give them some love. They need some love too.
Marlene Monder in the chat. Is Texas Tech really still decent? Yeah. No, actually, the last time there was a national championship game back in 2019, I believe Texas Tech played in it against Virginia and lost a close game. And no, their coach Beard is maybe, certainly one of the top coaches in the country and has turned that program into kind of a powerhouse that obviously that was Kansas's conference for years, and now Texas Tech is right up there with them. So, yeah, they're still good. Good old. How can players not want to go to Lubbock and play basketball? Lubbock's such a lovely town.
Lubbock. I mean, if you think about it, Texas is underwater right now and with all the snow and everything else. Have you seen all the pictures, by the way, of Texas and all the pipes bursting and people's houses being flooded? Like, how crazy is that? So hopefully if you're down in Texas, if you're watching, you're staying safe with all that stuff. But, man, Texas, woo.
Shout out to Andrew T. Rob. He's been in the chat some, and he must be surviving, and he must be one of the lucky ones who still has electricity. He's down in Houston, I know. Yeah, but not a pretty sight in Texas.
No.
They're struggling right now.
Monder, wow, time travels like my vodka Cokes. First of all, vodka Coke.
That's an interesting combo.
I don't know if I'd mix vodka and Coke. Personally, I'm more of a vodka. I go those turbos. Yeah, I don't know if you guys know what a turbo is. It's the vodka and White Claw or vodka seltzer, and then that kind of just gets you going. But P. Nix, another reason to steer clear of Texas. I don't want to be clouded on Texas in this moment really too much, but P. Nix, I'll let you do all the talking for me. How about that? Last section of this bracket is Region 4. Here's where we have Ohio State, the Ohio State. Is it the Ohio State? Is the and still in front?
They like to call themselves that. I don't know if anyone else does.
Okay, just checking. Alabama has had a decent team. This isn't a football bracket here. This is a March Madness bracket.
They're 1-2. That's a national championship and football rematch we're headed to in a bracket here. So, hopefully Ohio State can get some revenge or at least make it respectable like they did in that national championship game.
Come on, guys. We want an Ohio State-Alabama rematch here in this region. How sweet would that be? Yeah, so Alabama playing some great basketball. I've been following a couple of their games. Why? Because I've been betting on a little bit of these. Again, that's the theme of some of these. But, yeah, so there's going to be some other matchups here. Creighton at the 5. Like how Creighton's been playing so far. Texas at the 4. And West Virginia 3. to round out those top teams there. Then you have some interesting ones: Louisville, Minnesota. That one could be a good one if they end up, matching up in the first round on a 7-10. That would be a great one too. Monder in the chat, hell yes, love the turbos. Much loved to those without power. Yeah. So maybe we should just send a bunch of maybe if turbos were being able to be sold, we can send some turbos down to Texas and just get them through that cold spurt.
I mean, if I were without water and electricity, I would be getting hammered on a daily basis. So I am sure they would appreciate the turbos because I don't know what else to do with myself. How else do you get through time without electricity and water? What would you do?
I couldn't tell you. I don't have internet for like, yeah, it's crazy. My internet goes out for 10 minutes and I'm freaking out. So, it is what it is. Yeah, full panic mode. First world problems here on the Action Lab. So, all right. So we mentioned our first four out, last four in. And we see a familiar face on here. The Rammies. I don't think this is going to be happening. I think the Colorado State Rammies are going to be able to get in there. I think they should be on the other end of this, on the first four in, as opposed to the first four out. You get Maryland, UConn on that list as well. Richmond. Then you got first four in, North Carolina, Indiana, Stanford, and I'm not even going to lie, I don't even know who that other one is.
I'm sorry, which one are you talking about? St. Bonaventure?
St. Bonaventure. I guess
right there.
I guess that shows how much I know college football or college basketball logos here from some of these smaller teams. The Bonnies. What's up? What?
I can never tell you what a Bonnie is, nor could I tell you where St. Bonaventure is.
I would say the same thing. I wish we had some of our other friends in here asking what the hell's a Gale, because that's always a Gonzaga thing, right? No one knows what a Gale is. Or we're referencing.
Gonzaga fans love to use that, and they also love to chant "Go Gonzaga," Gonzaga, which just proves that they know how to spell the university in which they attend. So good for them.
Yeah,
really exciting, real clever. It's all right. Us Rammies like to just say we're proud to be CSU Rams. I think that could use an update as well. So a lot of college chants could probably use an upheaval and maybe some a little more complex lyrics or a little more creativity. I don't know.
North Carolina on this list they were on one of those previous regions, but they are slated to get in. I honestly don't think that they're going to be strong enough to make any kind of run. So I hope that they don't make it, just to make it so that there's other teams that get in and have a chance to make the tournament more exciting. But yeah, you notice on this list, you didn't see a lot of the Kentuckys, the Dukes, none of them were on that list, which blows my mind how bad they are. There's a lot of excuses with those teams, but hey, it is what it is. They didn't perform this year based off of various circumstances. They're not the only teams that are going through issues with COVID. They're not the only teams going through travel issues and this and that. So
they're have the only two I've heard make a lot of excuses though. So
exactly. So if you're a big fan of those teams and you want to defend them, just jump in the chat, defend them. Maybe you have something to throw our way. So that's all we got here for this March. March will be madness, because it's going to be crazy. I think there will be a really, really fun March Madness if we're able to get all these games under our belts and people are able to consume some of this, because it's been a year. We haven't had this last year. People have been waiting.
2 years.
Yeah, people. Exactly. People have been waiting for this. And, it's one of the biggest tournaments, one of the most fun things of the year to be a part of, and we haven't had any of it. So you best believe people are going to get crazy excited when they start gearing up for this, especially when the brackets start coming out. You're going to print out your brackets. You're going to fill them out. It's going to be real this time. Oh, man, Scotty, I can't wait.
Remember last year we had a trip to Arizona planned, and we were just going to sit in the pool with a TV outside and just sit there and watch March Madness. And it all got canceled, and instead we just had to talk to other family members.
Oh man, it was the worst family vacation I've ever had. It was awful. In case you
Yeah.
don't know, Scotty's my brother-in-law here. We usually go on a spring break trip and during March Madness, and we just spend all day by the pool watching games. And we ended up having to spend time together and talk face to face instead of watching games, which was absolutely horrible. I don't know how we made it through, but we did. And here we are. We're on a talk show, talking sports with all of our friends on Facebook and Twitch. So, hey,
Marlene, Bonnie is taming of the aggressive livestock killing wolf. I'm gonna have to look that up because that's a very abbreviated version apparently. Okay. I still don't even know really what that means. But
I think it's those. What is it? The vodka cokes. There's a lot of things that aren't matching up with you, Monder. That we need to get.
going big on.
I wish I could go big on a Wednesday with you. Maybe I will. Hey, we're halfway through the week, people. We're almost there. So, by the way, thank you all for being a part of this. Thank you all for watching. If you're on Facebook, if you're on Twitch, thank you. Keep the comments, keep the chat going. If you have ideas on what you want to, any kind of opinions or hot takes, throw them in there. Let's talk about them. But we have another subject coming up here. Daytona 500 here. So Daytona 500 just concluded, and this was probably one of the longest Daytona 500s. I know all of our chat is probably like, shit, we're talking about NASCAR. I'm out of here. So don't leave. Stay with us. Bear with us. It'll go quick. But we're
only going to talk about it for an hour, so we'll be good.
But Daytona 500 went through. We had a lot of. I used to get into NASCAR when like football was kind of slower and things, and my boy's Kevin Harvick, and he was driving the Budweiser car. Long story short, I used to love watching and just buying a case of Budweiser and just sitting on an afternoon where I had nothing going on in college. Those were the days. When you have families and friends and things going on and events now, but yeah. So now,
if I went to a NASCAR event and I had a case of a 6-pack of an IPA, would I just be thrown out? Is that even allowed? You basically have to have Bud Light, Coors Light, Natty Light, Miller Light. It has to be just the shittiest of shitty beers that you drink and just pound all day. The only thing I know about NASCAR events is how much people drink at them. Am I wrong?
No. And you know what, we were talking offline just for you guys on chat. Scott and I were talking offline about bucket lists of what events, and maybe we'll talk about this. Maybe we'll bring this up on another episode. But favorite bucket list events, sporting events of the year that you would want to go to, and as far as yours, you picked NASCAR.
That's definitely up there, and this was the one to go to. Are you kidding me with that 6-hour or whatever delay because of rain? Can you imagine of the 30,000 people I think they were supposed to have there, how drunk they all got with that 6-hour rain delay? People how many people actually made it and lived to see the end of it at the end of that? I don't know, but that would have been one hell of a time.
Stephanie Kell in chat just now. I thought it was over Sunday. Do tell. Cheap beer only. By the way, Steph, totally agree. You can't go wrong with cheap beer. By the way, just real quick, touching on the Daytona 500 here. So as far as this goes, McDowell was the one who won this. He was 100-1 underdog. So if you bet on him, you made some money. I think there was a major bet on this one. I think it was a $5,000 bet or something, and they ended up cashing in. And that was just the one thing that I pulled from this. But for the first time in 358 Cup starts, he ended up winning. Now, this was stopped by rain for almost 6 hours and ended 9 hours after the green flag waved at Daytona International Speedway. So this thing just was a marathon. I was going back to check to see what was going on with it, and it was still going on. I was like, what is happening with this race? There were some other storylines too. Season opener, Denny Hamlin was trying to go for his third consecutive Daytona 500 victory, so that was kind of a big thing that we were looking out for. And the team he started with, Michael Jordan was debuting with Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace was in the news with all of the Black Lives Matter stuff, and he's one of the more iconic racers of recent the last year or so. So Michael Jordan was jumping in and getting in on some NASCAR action, which Jordan I think has always been kind of a NASCAR guy on the side. So that was cool. But yeah, we just wanted to throw a couple little tidbits here. I mean, Daytona 500 is a big one. I would love to go to a Daytona 500.
Yeah. No, who wouldn't want to go to that? Like,
Stephanie,
and just people watch. It's just got to be a train wreck or a car wreck, if you will.
Yeah. Speaking of wreck, there was a big wreck. Steph, Kel, there was a crash that kind of like just threw things into a mess as well. Pretty substantial. 16 car, I think, was the pile up with that one. And you said almost as long as the 2020 election. This race, yeah, pretty much.
I would also like to see, if I'm going to one of those, I would like to see a wreck. Not one where anyone's obviously seriously hurt or anything like that, but just a wreck. You know, you gotta see at least one wreck and caution flag come out if you're going to be at one of those events.
Yeah, totally. So that's our NASCAR bit. We're not going to do a lot of NASCAR, but hey, you know, once in a while, some things happen, and hey, maybe one day we'll broadcast live from a NASCAR event, and we'll just do like live commentary. We'll do some interviews, maybe. We'll have some fun with it, have some cheap beer, as Stephanie was mentioning in the Facebook chat, and we'll get it going. We'll have a lot of fun with it.
We'll talk about those left turns.
Left turns. Yeah, no, there's a lot of strategy, man. I mean, you know, how many tires to take, 2 or 4? How much gas? Just make it quick. I wish I could be that fast at the gas pump with my own car. I mean, let's go. Is it? Anyway,
we got Rush Limbaugh talk in the chat. He did pass away today, which, regardless of how you feel about Rush, he was an icon for a lot of people out there, and a radio personality. Passed away today, so
yeah.
Rest in peace, Rush.
Yeah, I mean, even if guys are super polarizing, it's like, you know, you don't want to see it, right? I mean,
you don't want to see anybody pass away, and I think he lost his battle with lung cancer and was only 70 years old, so not too old. But you know, regardless of where you're at this point, just wish that he rest in peace, regardless of your feelings on him.
Yeah, absolutely. Steph in the chat on Facebook, do it. Thanks for the Daytona Day chat. Hey, you know what?
Got it.
Hey, we're always covering everything here. It doesn't matter. We got it all on lockdown. Next, though, we have
said lockdown, and now we're moving into lock.
We're moving into maybe some of our clickbait of earlier on, and what that looks like. So Drew Lock is in the news. So Drew Lock, he's been, you know, under question here in Denver. For all of you Denver folks here locally that have been trying to figure out what the Broncos are doing with their quarterback situation, there's a lot going on behind the scenes that I don't think a lot of people are, you know, really talking about. It's kind of maybe there are people talking about it, but it's not out there fully. You don't know who they're interested in, who they're not. But there's been some interesting news headlines and rumors going through the rumor mill over the course of the last few days. Now, just to put these into perspective, you know, this is one of the most crazy quarterback off seasons that we've ever seen in the NFL. You know, before we started this, you know, 3 or 4 streams ago, Scotty, we were telling like over 2/3 of the league could be looking for quarterbacks, which is crazy. That's not unprecedented. We don't see that very often. But Denver has been in that mix trying to figure out what their situation is. Now, the rumors are that supposedly last week, Pat McAfee is an ex-kicker in the NFL, has his own radio talk show, podcast. He's very successful. Had Mike Lombardi on the podcast, and they mentioned that there were some trade opportunities, blockbuster trades, that one team that the Broncos were working with ended up backing out of a trade that the Broncos offered. Now, they didn't mention any names, and they didn't say who it could be. They mentioned it could be like for Carson Wentz, but then they were like, no, that couldn't be it because the Broncos weren't interested in him. And so there were some conflicting issues there where if it's not Carson Wentz, then who was it? If this is a blockbuster deal, who could the Broncos have been chasing with these big blockbuster trades? So, as far as this goes, we already know that the new general manager, George Patton, has been previously, he was a little bit aggressive. There were some reports that he was aggressive in pursuit of Matt Stafford, who ended up going to L.A. In that trade. L.A., the Rams ended up getting Stafford, and then Goff ended up going to Detroit. Now, San Francisco and Denver have been a couple of those teams that have had those issues with the quarterback. They haven't come out and said that they're not going with their guy. So Garoppolo in San Francisco and Drew Lock here. They haven't exactly come out and said, yeah, this isn't our guy, or they haven't said he is our guy. Like they're kind of in that weird spot, but they have been both low key just hitting the market, right? You just hear all of the rumors, all the stories of where these guys could be going. So it's just been fascinating for me to kind of take this in. So, and also Patton has let everyone know that if Deshaun Watson in Houston, who wants out, who requested a trade, but then, his ownership is not looking to trade him, if they put him up for trade, the Broncos would be involved. That's what our GM has mentioned. So, what does that say about Drew Lock?
First of all, if Deshaun Watson's available, aren't 2/3 of the league involved?
I think every team outside of the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Bills, and I'm missing one. The Bengals.
Packers?
The Bengals. I would say the Packers should be in. Packers, why not? I mean, Aaron Rodgers is out here soon, and they need a guy. So I would be all in if I were the Packers. But Bengals is the other one. They love their guy. They're a nice young quarterback, and he got hurt, obviously. So, I think those are the four teams. If you're not one of those four teams, you should be in on Deshaun Watson. So, all that all aside. But, I mean, is this pretty much admitting, Scotty, that we're not necessarily sold on Drew Lock, and he's pretty much a guy that we're not moving forward with? He's pretty much out of our jurisdiction at this point. We just kind of need to figure out a way to get him out of here and get someone fresh in.
Listen, I don't know. I mean, I don't think anybody should be surprised that they're pursuing other options. I don't think anyone should think that Denver should be like, yeah, we're fully invested in Drew Lock. He's proven he's our guy moving forward. Like, he's been crazy inconsistent. Last year, very up and down. Even his ups weren't, I wouldn't call his ups extremely high either. He's clearly right now the worst quarterback in his division. The AFC West is pretty loaded at quarterback now with Mahomes and Herbert, and even Derek Carr played really well last year. So Lock's a distant fourth, and it's hard to compete in a division when you have the worst quarterback in the division. So I think absolutely Denver should be looking at upgrading the quarterback position, and not just like signing a guy like Andy Dalton to come in and compete. I think they should be going after Deshaun Watson. It doesn't sound like they're in on Carson Wentz, which fine. I mean, if they don't want to be in on that, that's fine. They need to upgrade it. It doesn't sound like they're interested in right now looking at a rookie in the draft. They want a veteran to come in. I think they feel like they're a little more ready to win, even though they have to shore up that defense with a lot of pieces probably leaving to free agency this year. But I don't know. I mean, no one should be surprised that they're pursuing these options, because Locke has not proven at all that he's the guy. Maybe he hasn't proven that he's totally not possibly the guy. He could, everyone points to, Josh Allen and being like, well, Josh Allen improved to this way. And I would say that's not the norm, but it's possible. So I think he still has some potential, but I think Denver definitely is trying to move on.
Yeah, Monder in the chat, shocked how patient fans are with Luck. It's interesting how patient fans are given the history of Broncos quarterbacks, right? You always have somebody calling for, when you had Jake the Snake out here, Jake Plummer, and then you had, what's his name, right behind him. Why am I blanking?
After Simeon?
No. Old boy who went to Chicago. Why am I blanking? Help me in chat.
Cutler.
Cutler was sitting right behind, and everyone is just like, Jake had a good run with the Broncos, and he was playing well. He's kind of like a better Ryan Fitzpatrick in the sense that he would still take you to the playoffs and still be really effective. He just couldn't get you to that Super Bowl and win it. But
he's a game away from a Super Bowl. They made an AFC Championship game.
Yeah, they did. They did, absolutely. But there was always someone chasing him down. Same thing with Tebow. Everyone's itching to get Tebow in. Get the guy, get anyone who's in front of him out of there because we want to see Tebow. Hey, get Cutler in the game. We don't want, Jake in there. We want someone young and exciting. For some reason, that's not happening with Locke as much. And again, to Monder's point, fans are more patient with Locke, and I don't see it. I don't understand why. And so it's interesting for me. I honestly, as a Bronco fan, I'm excited that we're trying to look and make major splash in this free agency or a major trade. I think that's super exciting because we haven't had that in a while. We haven't had, like, outside of the Peyton Manning, when Peyton Manning came and we brought him here, that was kind of like, hey, we're going all in. We're going to try to get him here. If he gets here, we're in good shape, and we ended up getting one Super Bowl out of that, so that ended up paying off. And we haven't really done that since. We've been going to the draft. We've been getting guys like, Locke, one. You had just a bunch of just busts. Osweiler, the Pirate. We had the Pirate here. Paxton Lynch. Yeah. Patches there. So yeah, we've been focusing on the draft, which I think we still need to, but I still think making some big splashes in a big trade or free agency is something the Broncos need, and I think George Patton is coming in and spicing things up, which I love.
By the way, I'll say this right now we're not done with the segment, but Deshaun Watson will not be a Bronco. Sorry.
I mean, I don't expect it. I would love it.
He won't be a Bronco, but do I have the guy for you?
Let's hear it.
There's a guy today just became available. Very available, has a lot of open time on his hands, playoff winning quarterback. You kind of killed the buzz because you actually already mentioned him, but Tim Tebow, all right? I don't know if you heard the news today, but he officially retired from baseball today.
What is that?
Tragic news.
No.
He definitely retired today. His minor league career of batting .223 with 18 home runs in his entire career of baseball is now over, and he's ready to come back and lead the Broncos to the promised land. There's your guy. There's the Broncos. We could all be Tebowing all over again, getting on a knee, putting your arm up like this to your head. No. We could just be Tebowing. This is the guy. No. And guess what? He's not going to cost you any draft picks. He's probably going to be super cheap. And now he's available. He retired as a legend of baseball, only now ready to return and bring them to the promised land.
Unbelievable. I was so excited to hear who you were about to hype up for the Broncos, and you hit me with Tebow.
Hey, how many quarterbacks have the Broncos had that have won a playoff game since after Jake Plummer? I believe there's only two. Since Plummer days. Oh, man. Only two.
It doesn't make it okay.
Peyton Manning, and we got Tim Patrick Tebow. I don't think Patrick is his middle name, but I wanted to bring a middle name into it to make it even, more hit that point home that Tim Tebow should be back in Denver. Let's do this.
How shitty do you think Steelers fans feel in retrospect to that game?
They should feel awful.
that Steelers game. How bad do you oh my gosh. Poor Steelers fans. Oh my gosh, that was rough. To know where Tebow went from that point in his career to where he's at now. And you got crushed by a Tebow overtime throw to Demaryius Thomas. Man.
Playoff winning quarterback. That's what I know. Those are I told no lies. In the 1 year he was a quarterback, he won a playoff game.
Statistically worst.
100% of the time.
Monder in the chat, statistically worst quarterback in 2020.
I think he was talking about DiNucci, who was a guy who played for he put in the chat right before that.
Oh, I
Who's the
missed that.
backup for Dallas that might as well have played for Denver, but Denver has gone through since the retirement of Peyton Manning. They've
Scotty, I think you've frozen up here. 1 second. Hold on.
We're unfrozen.
There we go. I think we're there you go. All right. Say your last thought one more time.
I was saying that Denver, since the Peyton Manning retirement, has had more individuals start at quarterback than any other team in the NFL. So
Yep.
that tells you right there they got a problem. You talk about the impatience with Locke, and I mean, what has he started, like 16 games? So like one full season, because he was hurt a few of the games this last year. He started the last 4 of the prior year. So
Correct.
I don't know that it's that impatient to just – he's basically had 1 year under his belt, even though he's been in the league too. So I don't think Locke's the answer, and it seems like they're putting out there actually that he has – someone in the Broncos organization is leaking that he has problems – progressing with an enlarged playbook or moving on to the second and third options, and they had to dumb down the offense last year. Someone's saying that. So that's not a good look, and you probably want to tighten that up if you're the Denver franchise, so that even if you move on from Locke, you could just be like, yeah, we moved on for Locke, but that was to get Deshaun Watson, not because you want to, sell Locke at the highest level, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I don't know. Either way, in the end, I really am excited to see what George Patton ends up doing here. I think he's a bold guy. I think he's really a smart guy from what he's done so far and just given Bronco fans some excitement, even if there's nothing happening. I think that's even more than we've had in previous seasons with Elway and anyone else who's been running the organization. So that is super exciting to me that we have somebody that's willing to shake things up and make a big move potentially, look at some trade options, look at what's out there, and potentially make a splash. So that's
2 quick points real quick. One, I believe it looks like Patton, but it's pronounced Peyton, just as an FYI. Just like your quarterback Peyton Manning. Doesn't matter. 2, maybe that blockbuster trade was to bring in his good old boy Kirk Cousins. Follow him from Minnesota over here.
If Kirk Cousins couldn't do it in Minnesota, he's not going to do it here.
Just saying.
It's not going to happen.
Been the blockbuster.
But I digress. So we'll see what happens. There's a lot to iron out here. We got the NFL season is still, just freshly over, and we still have a lot to talk about when it comes to all these moves. So we will keep you guys posted as long as we can whenever any of these changes take place. So let's go on. Let's move on to the next topic here. Jordan is back. Jordan is
Michael Jordan. Oh,
whoa! No. Wait a minute. That's not Michael. Who's back?
Jordan Spieth. Yeah, we're gonna get into some PGA talk. For those of you golf lovers out there, Jordan Spieth. Here's a guy who came up through the ranks. 2013 Rookie of the Year. 2015 looked like he was gonna be the next Tiger Woods of the tour. He won the Masters in 2015, won the U.S. Open, won the Tour Championship, all in 2015. Just dominated the tour. He went 3 consecutive years of going second, first, and second in the Masters in 2014, 2015, and 2016, and then actually finished third in 2018. But recently, his form, especially last year, was really off. He moved to, I think, ranked 92nd in the world. I mean, at one point, obviously, this was the number 1 golfer in the world. And all of a sudden, to start this year, he has been either in the lead or tied for the lead the last 2 weeks going to the final round. Now, he hasn't played well in that final round yet. He did not win either tournament. He lost the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am last weekend and the week before at Waste Management out in Arizona. But the big thing this is huge for golf. First of all, I think golf has, more than any other sport through the COVID, take advantage and helped viewership. They were the ones to come back first. And not to mention, people had a ton of free time last year. People played more golf last year than I think they've ever played. They, needed to get out and do something.
Social distance.
Social distance wise, you could kind of, go out and golf. You weren't going into the office as much. People picked up golf that never golfed before. And Jordan Spieth clearly has proven that he's a personality and he's fun to watch. And when he's rolling, 2 weeks ago, he shot a 61 in one of his rounds at Waste Management, absolutely rolling. And it's just so fun to watch. And it's proven this past weekend, the ratings on the Sunday round where he went in as with the share of the lead was the best ratings according to CBS Sports PR. The ratings were up 20% from last year in the same tournament. It was the most watched regular season, so non-major PGA Tour event on any network in the last 2 years. And it wasn't because of Daniel Berger, who ended up winning it. No disrespect to him. He's a good golfer. But it was to watch Jordan Spieth. Jordan Spieth captivates audiences like no one can outside of Tiger Woods in today's golf. And I'm super pumped to watch Jordan Spieth. I was a fan when he was starting to roll here and there. And even when he was struggling, he was still entertaining to watch because he doesn't hold back on the course. Like, he will let you know exactly how bad of a shot he's hit right away. And I appreciate that candor and like that. I think that provides entertainment in a sport that sometimes lacks personalities and stuff like that. He's a personality. He's great for the game, and he's very close to being back full blow. Obviously didn't have the Sundays that he won of the last 2 weeks, but I'm excited for him. And they need it. And right now Tiger's out with another back surgery, his 5th back surgery. So we don't know for sure when he'll be back. I hope he'll be back for the Masters here in April, but we don't know. And they need somebody. There's a lot of, it's not that they have a lack of talent because there's a ton of talented golfers out there, but Jordan Spieth just provides an appeal that a lot of the other top golfers out there don't have.
Yeah, and I think the golf needs this too. I think golf it's you recognize the faces, right? Tiger Woods was that guy that you got excited about, and you want him to get better and back into the mix there. But obviously he isn't the same as what he used to be, and he's trying to work his way back. And it's going to be exciting when Tiger Jr., his boy, is going to be popping in and making some action. You want to bring golf back to the ratings. Jordan Spieth's doing that now, but you just wait till that spike when Tiger's boy comes out and ends up just
Charlie, good old Charlie.
Woods.
I said, what was that on a previous show? I said I'd like to bet right now on him winning the Masters 10 years from now. What kind of odds can I get on that? Because he's taking it down.
Yeah, and I don't watch as much golf as you do. I think you definitely keep good tabs on golf for sure. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If a lot of people know who Jordan Spieth is, and a lot of people really know that he's kind of that guy that can make golf exciting. So hopefully he continues to just go on that upward trajectory and keep trying to like push these wins under his belt, because I think it's a lot more fun when you have guys that can pile up wins and make some runs that you don't really see very often in the sport of golf. So yeah, super exciting. Yeah.
Let's hope he gets one. Sits on the top of the podium soon here.
There you go.
Not that they have podiums in golf.
They don't. I mean, they got like
he could use
platforms.
He's not that tall.
They got
He's not that tall.
Platforms. Finally, we have the NBA All-Star Weekend. So this has kind of been a little bit of a controversial thing in the sense that this is, something that hasn't exactly been a popular opinion one way or the other based off of the play, if you're on the player side or if you're on to, the league side. By the way, Monder in the chat, Scott looks good frozen. People don't need power to see brilliance. So there you go, Scotty. And happy 20.
Happy 25th to Happy Gilmore. I don't know. Yeah, there was a whole. I don't know if you saw the social media back and forth between Happy Gilmore, Adam Sandler yesterday, and Shooter McGavin. I actually don't know that actor's actual name. But I don't know if anyone does. Does anyone? He's just Shooter McGavin. That's who he is.
If you can find out that name for us, chat, throw it in the chat. I don't know who's Shooter McGavin. What's the actor's name that plays Shooter McGavin? Throw it in there.
But they had a real fun back and forth yesterday where Adam Sandler was on the golf course and did his traditional happy run up and swing and talk trash to Shooter, and then Shooter came right back and talked about he made a little putt and said we drive for show, putt for dough, and his traditional Shooter McGavin mantra. Yeah, no, he's actually my favorite character in that movie, is Shooter McGavin. It's not Happy Gilmore. It's close to being the spectator who had the screw in his head that gets struck in the foot. He's good too. There's so many Shooter when he's talking to that like stalker guy who wants to go to Red Lobster with him. Like, what a classic movie. I want to watch that right now.
We might just get off stream and just have like a video viewing of Christopher McDonald. Thanks, Monder.
All right.
There we go.
I could have thrown out random names for forever.
There we go. Thanks, Monder, for helping us out with that one. But yeah, no, hey, we need to get that under our belts for sure. It's a classic.
Such a good movie. A good movie.
Yeah, no, it's every bit of that is fantastic. So, but back to the All-Star Weekend here. So players have come out recently and mentioned that they're against this. LeBron. We had James Harden come out. Kyrie, I think, said some things. Some other smaller NBA players that just regular guys coming out saying, "Hey."
You mean Kyrie wants time off? You're kidding me.
Kyrie shockingly wants more time off. He hasn't had enough early on in the season. So yeah, there's definitely some people pushing against this, and they're mentioning a lot of it is pertaining to COVID and like being sensitive of that. But honestly, LeBron kind of alluded to it a little bit, which was kind of interesting, of saying like, hey, we just finished our season like a little bit ago, having that rest, having that break, and then he said some COVID stuff. So part of me is like, is he really want this because of COVID, or does he just want a break because he just doesn't want to play basketball because he's getting older? And I think some of that is valid, which, for him, there's a lot of these, it's a shorter season, so you're playing less games. So that's part of it too. But there's kind of this change that they've had. Originally it was supposed to be in Indianapolis. Now they're shifting it. And they're pushing it to Atlanta, I believe, is where they're going to try to have it, because you have the studios down there, TNT Studios, where they typically host all of these, on television. And then you also have all of the different festivities that they're going to do maybe like during halftime. They're thinking about doing some halftime stuff with the dunk contest, which I think could be a lot of fun. I think some of those All-Star weekends are a little bit stretched out, where you like have to watch, they make it like a full day and you just want to catch the dunk contest or the 3-point contest. And then you have to like wait all this time to get to it. But like, if you had
the best part of the weekend is NBA All-Star Saturday night though, which is
true.
Dunk contest, 3-point contest. You're right. They have that like skills competition. They usually throw in some like shooting contests that involve like former players, current player, and the WNBA player. They do a lot of different things for sure. And but I don't know. There's something about that. We won't have that like NBA All-Star Saturday night, so this one will feel different for sure. I think the 3-point contest and skills challenge is going to be like right before the game, and then the dunk contest is going to be at halftime.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in like, are players going to opt out of this? Or are they going to be like, no, I'm good? I don't know. And can they? And I don't know how that works. I haven't seen much written on it, but like, if they're not interested in playing, and unfortunately that'll really dilute the game. And there's only one reason they're playing this game, right? Like the only reason they're playing this game is it's all about the Benjamins, right? This is about money. Like the NBA, obviously, the pandemic hit them too, and they're hurting for money. They're not having fans in the stands. They're are very limited, if at all. And this is, I think I read that like, this is like $30 million for TNT in ad revenue alone on All-Star Weekend. So that's a huge for your main partner in TNT. To lose out on that ad revenue of 30 million is huge. So they're playing this weekend. The only reason the NBA is putting this together is for money. It's not for the fans or even entertainment value. It's because they need the cash.
Yeah, and that's true. I do think that it would be, from what I understand too, there are a lot of people out there that, or a lot of the players out there that are saying, hey, like LeBron said it, I think James Harden said it as well. Even though they were outspoken against the NBA All-Star game, they're like, hey, if you vote me in, I'll be there. That doesn't mean I want to be there. So like it just makes it so that like when you say that publicly, it takes away from the game itself, because then I know you're not your heart's not in there. Like you're not. It's not going to be as exciting as if it's like a regular All-Star game. And again, I know these All-Star games are mostly, up until last year, they've been kind of these just like boring. No one's playing defense. You go one-on-one and they let you drive and do a little dunk contest during the. It's not that exciting until last year when they made it exciting, when they broke it down quarter by quarter and they did the different. That made it exciting, and you can tell the players were actually playing harder. So it's kind of like you get teased with that one year, and then you have this. You're excited to see it again, and then you don't see it again because some people just, or some of the players just aren't. Their heart's not in it, and it's like you want their heart to be. I think once they get on the floor, though, the competitive nature of those guys, if they get voted in, like I said, LeBron, James Harden, all those guys said, we'll go, we'll play. That doesn't mean we want to be there, but I think they'll end up turning it on. I mean, when you're around all your boys, when you're around all the guys in the league, the best players in the league, and you guys are chopping it up on the sidelines or like, that during the course of that weekend, I think things start picking up. I just think they have to get there. They have to physically get to Atlanta and just be there with a bunch of their guys, a bunch of the, the best players in the league, and just have some fun with it. And just, I think it'll end up being a really good one. I hope. I have faith.
You know what and this is just a small tidbit, but I saw an article the other day, or maybe it was just a comment. I don't even remember what it was, but it was someone basically saying Rudy Gobert is not an all-star. And it had nothing to do with his ability in the league or anything like that. They're like, the last thing I want to see in an all-star game is a guy setting a really good screen. They're just like I don't need to see a guy and then rolling and maybe like getting the rebound and putting it back, or playing, blocking, playing decent defense or something. Like, they were just simply talking about the fact that the last thing I want to watch in a game that's supposed to be entertaining is Rudy Gobert. And there's definitely been guys like that. Like,
I mean, Jokic was kind of like that of his first All-Star game.
He seemed a little out of place. Like he wasn't, but weirdly about him is like he can have flashes, obviously, especially with his passing.
Yeah,
ability,
totally.
Which could be super entertaining in a game. So he's got to get his footing, and he actually has at least potential. But like, I agree. Like there's guys that, like, while maybe they're deserving of being All-Star game, like All-Star players, the last thing you want to do is see them in the All-Star game.
Yeah, totally. So we'll see how this ends up turning out. I think it's gonna. It seems like it's gonna be a down season for the NBA All-Star Game. I think it's gonna be better than what people are anticipating. So we will see. But that leads us into our next category, or our next segment, I should say, of the night, and we're gonna close out the night with our famous NBA tier list. We are on leg 2, Scotty, of our tier list. So we already covered point guards last week. We already got that under our belts. We know who the best point guards are in the league. We know who, kind of sorted those out a little bit further. So now it's on to shooting guards. Now we're getting into some of these new players that are going to try to find their way into our hearts or not. And we're going to start out with obviously our below average shooting guards here. Now, let us know in chat. I mean, we have, everywhere from below average all the way up to our superstar guards. So if you're a big NBA person, and you have an idea of where you want your favorite players to be, throw them in the chat. That's Facebook chat and through the Twitch chat, so that we can see and you can predict where they're going to land, where we think they're going to land. And again, we're pretty good at putting these guys in the right place, right, Scotty? We don't really miss.
We haven't been wrong yet. And this one I take very seriously because I, in my youth, was a shooting guard. I would just sit outside the 3-point line and wait for them to pass me the ball so I could shoot the ball. That was my game plan. I wasn't going to move, just shoot it, because you get more points behind this line that they have further back. So why would you not always shoot from there? I was a fan of like where the NBA is right now prior to the NBA knowing. Like the analytical data, I knew it just makes sense to take a shot from when you get 3 points instead of 2. It took the NBA a little too long to figure that out, but they finally have. So I'm very partial to the shooting guard.
Yeah, and you got a couple guys on here. RJ Barrett is a young guy here on below average. He hasn't exactly done a ton, but I think he's going to get there. He won't stay in this below average very long. He has potential to climb this list fast. I think the Knicks are a team that's up and coming that could get him up to a spot where I think he can be really, really successful. So I expect the Knicks to turn the ship right in the direction it's supposed to go. And obviously they've been playing already great basketball this season, over expectations, even right now. And so RJ Barrett is a nice young piece to that. They can build on that, and he's going to get better and better. So I think he's going to stay here. Wayne Ellington is on this list as well. He's kind of a guy that's been a veteran in the league for a while, so he's not really I don't anticipate him getting any higher on this list. He's a good
where he's at.
He's a good, solid guy, but as far as this goes, I don't really think there's too much else, for him to kind of climb. But, I mean, you never know, right?
Yeah, he's a North Carolina boy, so I don't know. That means something. Can that mean anything? I just wanted to point out I knew where he went to school.
Hey, a UNC boy, Mm-hmm. I mean, he's going to be rooting for his, 15th seeded Tar Heels.
Well, they were a 12 seed. You thought they might have been a 16 seed with their AT&T counterpart.
They should be. They should be.
I don't know if they're playing an NIT this year, but they'd be strong favorites if they end up in the NITs.
Very true. Very true. So let's get into the next one, though. These are just our average guys that are going to be, doing some good things, but maybe not necessarily like changing the game, right? Now, JJ Redick was on this list. I think there's 2 or 3 guys on this list that were doing well in the previous seasons, but we're going. So just to put this out there, we're putting this based off of their performance this year. This is, it's not because of like their name of how their history and their status has been in the league up until this year. This is how they're performing this year. So just want to put that out there because you might see some people on this list that you're just like, wait a minute, that guy's way better than average, better than this guy or worse than this guy or whatever. We are putting this together based off of this season. So just keep that in mind. But JJ Redick, 2 years ago, he's on that slightly above average for sure. But he's kind of fallen off. He's taken a back seat to some of the other players on his squad, and he just hasn't really been as effective. He hasn't been doing as much as he typically has on previous teams. I mean, he was with Philadelphia. He's like the Pelicans, and he's been great. But he hasn't been the guy that really gets you over the hump. Another local boy here is Gary Harris. Definitely, he's known for his defense. He's known for being able to turn it on. He turned it on a little bit in the playoff run last season, and he did some good things. He hit some big threes in some of those final games of the series with the LA Clippers, and so he was really someone who was going in and making some big plays. But he hasn't been anything special. I think injuries are also a big thing with him. He hasn't been able to contribute as much. So
Yeah, he just came back again tonight. But Gary Harris, to me, average is putting it kindly. I'm not. I've talked about how as a Nuggets fan, that's the position I want to see them upgrade the most is that 2 guard spot. I think there's a lot of talented guys out there, and Gary Harris actually he's just regressed. Like he showed a lot of promise in his first couple of years, and the numbers he was putting out as more of a role player, he just hasn't been able to follow up when he's getting more consistent minutes. So
yeah,
he's a guy I'd like to see the Nuggets move on. Although he has flashes, he does have flashes.
yeah, yeah. I think he's up there. Beasley was a Denver Nugget, and I think he was more of a product of what Jokic brings. Like if you look at some of the NBA players that have left the Denver Nuggets and have gone elsewhere, so Plumlee, you got Beasley, you got even Wancho going to Minnesota. I I don't know. Jeremy Grant, he's been just turning it on, so he's just got talent in general, but he's on an island by himself out there in Detroit. But I think NBA players who leave the Denver Nuggets, any Nugget that leaves, has a rude awakening when they go somewhere else and they don't have somebody like Jokic facilitating all the offense and getting you open shots. So Beasley did do some great things last season, and if he would have continued that on to this season, the Timberwolves are awful. So he was at the end of last season on that slightly above average, and he's kind of regressed. Andrew Wiggins on this list as well hasn't performed in Golden State. He hasn't really been much of anything that I could just say, yeah, he came into the league with so much hype. Andrew Wiggins was one of the most hyped players, and he never really has materialized to be like an all-star even. He just hasn't taken that next step. So he's just been average. He can get you a good game or two, but he's not going to get you more than that.
Never been a consistent enough shooter. I'll say Malik's been. I would rather have Malik Beasley than Gary Harris. Malik's averaging 20 points a game. Now, granted, he's in Minnesota where he's getting a lot more opportunity than he would in Denver. But he's shooting almost 43% from. 40% this year from three. He's right at 40%, 45% field goal shooting. Like, I actually think Malik's been all right. I know he's gotten into some legal issues, which hasn't helped his situation, but on the court, I think Malik's been all right. You're right. Andrew Wiggins was the number 1 pick. Already, I think, he was traded. He was drafted by Cleveland, traded in the Kevin Love deal initially, and then now moved to Golden State, and just not a consistent enough shooter. He's a Kansas boy, went to Kansas for a year. He was supposed to be – he was so hyped going into Kansas. He was the top high school prospect since LeBron, and he just never fully did what he was supposed to at Kansas. Still got to be the number 1 pick. He was in the same draft, actually, as Joel Embiid, who I think went 3rd to the 76ers. And as a Kansas fan, I'm like, I would draft Embiid. It reminds me a lot of years ago. There was 2 elite guys coming out of Kansas in the draft, and Rafe LaFrentz and Paul Pierce. And the Nuggets had the 3rd pick of the draft, and they said out of Kansas. And I thought with all my heart they were going to say Paul Pierce. And even as a Kansas fan, when they said Rafe LaFrentz, I was like, no, you got to take Paul Pierce. Don't take Rafe LaFrentz. Like, come on. Rafe is like he's a solid player and guy. He tore his ACL and his career fell short, but Paul Pierce was clearly the choice there.
Rafe, I give love to Rafe. I'm an old school Nuggets guy. I've loved the Nuggets since I was a little kid. I watched it when they had Chauncey and they had Jalen Rose and Dikembe and Bryant Stith and LaFonso Ellis. All those guys, those were guys that I watched growing up that were just amazing.
You didn't even say Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf.
Mahmoud, McDyess, all of them. They were all fantastic.
Robert Pack.
I have a Robert Pack rookie card sitting somewhere in this room. I have a lot of Nuggets rookie cards, but I have actually. Speaking of Rafe LaFrentz, I have a Rafe LaFrentz signed rookie card sitting 3 feet away from me. Not that that's exciting to anybody.
Humble brag. Humble brag.
By the way, Scotty, I gotta tell you, I gotta show you guys, all of you, my collection of cards. It's fantastic. I went through and I found some like old school Kevin Durant rookies and LeBron rookies. Oh, we'll go into like sports cards and the hype around that later. I told you about NBA Top Shot on that Friday stream, and we're only scratching the surface on that. So we'll get there. But I digress. Let's get back on track here. Let's finish up this tier list. We have the slightly above average. So these are guys that you will want on your team as a solid role player. So these are guys that can, get hot and stay hot for, a period of time. So Dillon Brooks is the first guy on this list. Emerged as a two-way player last season for the Memphis Grizzlies. He's doubled his scoring average from the previous season, while also increasing almost all of his averages. So he has been like just one of those rocks that has, you've been able to lean on from a shooting guard perspective, that's able to play some good defense. So if he can continue to develop as a young player, I think that he can be a really solid piece, not only for the Grizzlies, but if he ends up moving somewhere else to a contender and being a role player I would love him for Denver. I think he's definitely going the right direction on that. A couple other notable players here. I think Tyler Hero, he's kind of gotten some hype from the NBA's finals and the run that the Heat made last season. He's definitely a great shooter. I don't think he's definitely making taking that step to the next level quite yet, but he's getting there.
He was the third best player on that team in the playoffs last year.
Absolutely.
Behind Butler and Bam, he was their third best player. He played great last year in the playoffs. And I'm also a Dillon Brooks fan, by the way. Like Dillon Brooks a lot.
Yeah. No, I think he's great. Another one on this list, Charis Levert. He has most recently been traded, but as far as this goes, he's a talented guy. He's continued to improve year after year. His fourth season, he's averaged 18 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. That was when he was with the Nets. And then he's, continuing on. He got traded, and actually that trade has saved his life. I don't know. Did you hear the story, Scotty, where he got traded? He did a physical, and they found like some cancer stuff growing in his body,
abnormality. Yeah, so he's pretty much out this year, but that's gonna potentially save his life.
Monder,
that's a cool story.
Monder in the chat. I have Hakeem Olajuwon shoes and jersey. I would love to see that, Monder. I would love to see your collect. I'm a big guy when it comes to like memorabilia and sports, autographs and signed stuff. I have a lot of signed things in this room. I have my Nikola Jokic autographed basketball right here. I'm a really big collector's kind of person. So, Monder, I would love to see your collection one day. What were you gonna say, Scotty?
Well, no, I don't even know, but I would like to know off the top of your head. Do you know what size shoes those are? I'd be curious to know what Hakeem was rocking size-wise.
Hakeem, man.
Where do you store those in the house?
Size.
Can't just fit in a closet, can it?
It's got to be at least size 16.
Yeah.
What was Shaq?
I was gonna guess like 18 or something.
Isn't Shaq like 23?
Yeah.
I think Shaq's like size 23 or something crazy. Fringe all-star. So these are the guys that aren't ever going to really, or they're on the cusp of making that all-star push, but they just can't get over the hump quite yet. And maybe they'll take that next step. So we got Victor Oladipo, we got Levine, and we got Buddy Hield. I think Zach Levine's taken a big step this year. On the previous chat, Dark Horse chimed in and was talking about how he's been playing a lot better with some of the players that they've put around him. So he's definitely in a nice young roster with the Chicago Bulls, done some nice things. Buddy Hield, he can be lights out, man. When he's on, he can take over a game. He doesn't do it as consistently as he should, but I think he's one of those guys that can really do some good things. And then Victor Oladipo has always been a great great scorer. He hasn't exactly done, taken. He's kind of in the same thing. He's not as consistent as he probably could be. So, I think that when it comes to Victor Oladipo, I think he has the potential to get there. He kind of reminds me of like a Bradley Beal that just hasn't turned into Bradley Beal quite yet. He's still
Well, and obviously he just progressed to being like at an all-star level with Indiana, and then he had that serious injury. Now he's been traded to Houston, trying to get a feel there. But I just looked at Buddy Hield's stats. We have Buddy Hield too high, especially this year. He's shooting 37% from the field this year. Not great. 37% from the field, 37% from three. And if he's not shooting the ball well, that's kind of what Buddy Hield is. Like his last year in Oklahoma, could not miss it. And every time they play the Nuggets. They're 3-0 against the Nuggets this year. So maybe that's why we have him here, because he can't miss against the Nuggets.
Maybe.
So maybe that's why we have him up this high, because we've just seen those games where like Buddy Hield is legit.
I absolutely think that's why we have him here, because he just wrecks us every single time I'm watching a Nuggets game. He absolutely just torches us. And maybe that's just the fact that we don't have anybody at that 2-guard spot. I mean, maybe, because we have, Gary Harris is always injured and we can't guard anybody else on that 2 spot. There's a couple positions on the court that we can't defend. And that a small forward, if you're ever doing daily fantasy, always take the small forward that's playing against the Denver Nuggets. Always. They're most likely going up against like a Michael Porter, or we just always have been weak at that spot. So always do that. Otherwise, the shooting guard position just torches us. We give up points to all of these guys that you see on this list. They could be in the very bottom of this list, and we will give points up to them. So maybe
I would add quick point guards. Destroy us. That's another reason why we can't beat the Kings, because De'Aaron Fox just absolutely destroys us. Like, we can't cover quick point guards at all.
I don't know. I don't know the solution to that. We just gotta figure it out. Zach Levine, though, going back to him, on bad teams since he's into the NBA. He just hasn't really been able to get on a good team. So I think if he ends up going somewhere else, he could also, do some great things. But I think he's great. And then Oladipo, I think injuries have really hurt him as well. He tends to go through some injury bugs throughout the course of the season. So these guys, we're getting there. I think they have some ways to climb.
Can the Nuggets trade for Levine? I'd take Levine right now. He's averaging 28 points per game this year. He's 43% from three, 51% from the field. He's been money.
I'll tell you, the Nuggets need a lot of help, and it's just one of those things that Jokic is on an island right now. He had some help. He had some help from Jamal Murray last night, which was nice and refreshing. But did you see Michael Porter Jr. and Green went? I think of all the shots they took, they made one combined shot. Michael Porter Jr. went 0 for. I don't know what he just takes bad shots. He's just notorious for taking bad shots and not getting back on defense. I love the kid, and I think he's got a lot of potential, but I just don't. Oh man, I just don't know. I just don't know if I have patience.
He's not a guy that waits to get in rhythm and take what the offense gives him. He's like a guy that's like, I haven't shot the last few times down the court. If I get the ball, I'm shooting, regardless of the situation.
He's got that old.
That's where he's got to mature. He's got to mature in that.
He's got that old school. You remember when Will Barton would just jack up shots every time he touched the ball, like no matter what. Like that's he's got. Monder in the chat. Chris, what are you drinking? I am drinking. I was drinking tequila on the rocks, but then it's Wednesday, and I saw you were, outperforming me. So I got a little bit of Negra Modelo, sponsor right here. They're not sponsors. I'm lying. I wish they would sponsor the show.
For sponsors in waiting.
There's sponsors in waiting, and you throw a little lime in this guy, it blows away regular Modelo, and it's fantastic. So always, yeah, go get some of that if you haven't tried it. It's fantastic. But let's get to the
Modelo. Call us tomorrow about a sponsorship.
Let's go. Let's get into the All-Stars. If you're in chat, whether you're on Facebook or if you're on Twitch or YouTube, by the way, if you're on YouTube and you're commenting, I'm sorry. I don't have all the screens set up, and I don't even know how our YouTube side is going. So I hope that's going well. But all I have right now is Facebook chat, so I see when people are popping in and out and commenting on that, and I have Twitch. But we're dealing with our comments all coming into one spot, so that's hopefully going to get resolved in the next week or so. So bear with us on that. But keep those comments coming. Let's get to the All-Stars. We have 6 All-Stars here. So these are guys that you expect to perform night in and night out, and then also just win your games and get to All-Star games. Get those All-Star votes, right? We were talking about All-Star games earlier on, and these guys should all be either voted into the game or just barely missing. So Devin Booker in Phoenix. You got McCollum. You have Monder, by the way. Can I announce your unsolicited commercial? Guys, how about you give my pipes a chance?
Yeah, no, you could definitely be the voice of our unsolicited, unsponsored commercials we make for different products.
I didn't even know this was a recruiting session, but hey, Monder, we got you. We got you covered here. So to round out this list, Jalen Brown. So he's been doing really good things with the Boston Celtics, keeping them in there. DeMar DeRozan in San Antonio, doing some great things. Donovan Mitchell and Paul George. Paul George, playoff P. The reason why he's not a superstar on this list is because of the nickname playoff P. Because that exists, he'll never gravitate to that superstar status. So he's got some big shoes to kind of fill. Maybe those Hakeem Olajuwon shoes from Monder to fill before he's able to take that next step.
Well, the problem is the problem isn't that he's the nickname playoff P. It's that's supposed to imply that when in the playoffs he plays better. And I'm checking last year and a couple other years, like he doesn't play better in the playoffs. So I'm not sure. Does playoff P just mean like, oh, I'm actually down a tier or two? I'm not an all-star anymore. I'm a slightly above average guy. This list had a lot of guys though. I mean, obviously Paul George at times has been superstar level. And then
during the regular season.
And Devin Booker, is right there. Obviously he hasn't even made a postseason yet, so it's hard to throw that superstar level on him. CJ McCollum has been hurt a lot this year, but when he's played really well. And then Donovan Mitchell, we watched Donovan Mitchell absolutely torch the Nuggets in the first round of the playoffs last year and play phenomenal ball. And he, when he wants to be, can be a superstar as well. I mean, a lot of these guys are trending upwards. DeMar DeRozan's on the, later part of his career. Paul George seems like he's old. I don't know how old he is, but it seems like he's on the older. But a lot of these young guys, Jalen Brown, Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell, even CJ McCollum, who's not necessarily young, I think all those guys are even trending upward. Like they could easily all reach that superstar potential. And McCollum's a great player. You can't put him as a superstar because he's not the best player on his team, right? Like Dame is their number one guy. But that combo in the backcourt's phenomenal when they're in. So. A lot of great players right there.
Yeah,
a lot of exciting guys that should only continue to progress.
I do think the pinnacle of this list is Devin Booker and CJ McCollum. Those guys stand out above the other guys. I think Donovan Mitchell has taken a step given what he's done with Utah. I think Utah has just been crushing, and I think he's taken a big step. When Shaq called out Donovan Mitchell the other day on TNT, I think that lit a little bit of a fire under him as well. So he's been outperforming quite a bit. And then, Paul George he's a regular season guy. Once he gets to the playoffs, he kind of shifts down to being more of that like just average, takes a step back on the leadership role and just doesn't really follow through. But if you're giving me two guys on this list, it's definitely going to be those first two with Devin Booker and CJ McCollum, because they can just carry your team. If they're like the focal point of another team, they can just run that team. So
I'd take Booker and Mitchell, but yeah, not a ton of a disagreement there.
Yeah, I'm not.
Slightly on Mitchell.
All right, I'll take you.
He's the best player on the number one team in the West, right?
A fake number one team in the West. I don't know how Utah is as good as they are. It just blows my mind. And they keep proving me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I've said that they're frauds from the beginning, and maybe I'm being a little bit too aggressive on that, but they're starting to change my mind, and I'm starting to come from being like a number 10 on the radar of they're a complete fraud to they've got me down to like a 5 or 4.5 right now, that they're a real deal. And so I think Bogdanovich is a big piece of that. When he got knocked out for the season, the rest of the season last year, he's a big piece of what they do. And then obviously Joe Ingles, he's like that guy that you hate to play against. He's never like flashy, but he'll torch Nuggets every single time.
And Mike Conley's played really well for him this year too. So
yep.
They 1 through 5, they're very talented, but Donovan Mitchell's the best player on a team that's 23-5. So I'll roll with him.
Yeah. Oh, what happened there? Sorry. I wanted to leave you guys in suspense. And we have the top two guards in the league right here. James Harden and Bradley Beal. So, James Harden and Bradley Beal are standing out. Obviously, James Harden can put up points. You've seen what he can do. He's just, he goes to different teams. From Houston, he's shifted over to the Nets, and he's just been shooting lights out as always. He turns it on. He hit the game winner the other day, and he has just been, one of those guys that they really. I mean, they already have a lot of talent, but they really got somebody, and no one questioned James Harden's talent. When they were going through this trade stuff, he looked like he was gaining a lot of weight. Which, by the way, we made fun of this. There's speculation, rumors, and like crazy what do they call those? The conspiracy theories.
You love your conspiracy.
I love the conspiracy theories. Supposedly, people were saying he was wearing a fat suit underneath his like warm-up uniform on purpose because he was. Which, if
the fat pics were with him in his warm-up, so
if it's true, because all of a sudden he got traded and he was like instantly like thin and like shredded, and I'm just like, maybe there's something to that. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. The guy can shoot. The guy. He may not necessarily need to play a lot of defense because he makes up for it with what he does on offense. He draws a lot of fouls. He gets to the free throw line more than any other player. And he is just, an insane talent. He's always going to be, I would say he's the number one between him and Brad Beal. Brad Beal, he's doing some crazy things, good things this year, but, James Harden can look like he's having fun out there and still put up like he's not trying and still have at the end of the game like 35, 40 points. I mean, he went on that streak last year where he was scoring 30 points or like straight for like how many games or something. It was out of control. So no matter how good your defense is, you can't stop him. He's the only man in the NBA capable of shutting down he's the only guy himself is the only guy that can stop James Harden. And that's just how good he is. Bradley Beal, he's one of those guys. He's just stuck on a bad team, and he's like, even though he has Russell Westbrook there, he can't escape. He wants out. He's outperforming. He's trying to raise his value. so he can go to somewhere. But he's the leading scorer in the NBA this year, and I would love to have
by a full 3 points. So it's not overly close.
Yeah, no, he's absolutely just torching teams. And that's just because he's the only guy on that team. He's literally putting that team on his back. And they obviously aren't winning anything. They're just losing games here and there. But
they beat the Nuggets tonight. So
are you serious?
You didn't see that?
I didn't see it earlier.
130 to 128.
What was his stat line?
Beasley went for 25, 10 assists though, which is way more than normal. And the Nuggets were pretty much a two-man show. Joker 33, 9, and 7. Murray 35, 6, and 9. So two-man show as usual, and sometimes it's a one-man show for the Nuggets.
Can we get the guy some help, please? Like, we need to shake something up here. When it comes,
Porter put up 14 on 5 of 11 and 2 of 7 from 3. And then Campazzo put up 14 actually, but no one else in double digits. And forget their offense. Their defense gave up 130 to they gave up they gave up 35 points to Davis Bertans. I don't even know how to say that guy's name.
Bertans.
He's averaging 10 on the season. He had 35 tonight. You talked about small forwards just having career games against the Nuggets. There's another guy.
I'm telling you, take the small forwards playing the Nuggets. By the way, you mentioned Campazzo. Did you see that no-look pass, the slow-mo of that no-look pass the other day, where he wasn't even looking and he whipped the ball, and it didn't, nobody was expecting that ball to get to the corner. It was on point, hit our young rookie Najee right in the hands, and the defender, what's his name, Kyle Kuzma, had zero idea that ball was even. It was like literally an inch from his face, and it just shot straight to Najee's hands for the 3, and he drained it, which was one of the coolest plays. I'm telling you, Campazzo is like a mini Jokic. He just doesn't. He's not good as good as scoring as Jokic, but he can he turns over the ball quite a bit. He takes some questionable shots, but his passing ability may be second best to Jokic in the NBA.
He seems like a regular season guy to me, though. I don't think he's a mover of the needle in the playoffs.
No. He's definitely.
I'm kind of excited about Zeke Naji. Recently he got some minutes, and that dude can shoot.
Zeke Naji, he's been getting better and better as the games have been going on, and he has a natural shot. If you look at his shot, it's textbook. It looks fantastic, and even he's a tough guy that can hit the long range ball, but he's good at rebounding and he can make some finishing around the hoop. I think he's definitely a guy to keep an eye on for growing into a bigger role. Jokic loves him. Jokic said he learns fast, and he can make some big plays. So honestly, guys like that,
I'm excited about Najee.
Oh man, Najee, and then also RJ Hampton has had some flashes. So
he's super athletic, super quick, which we don't have that in a guard really. We don't have that athletic quick guard, so he's got to fill out a little bit. He's a little too. He looks out muscled on the court. He doesn't look like he's got to hit the weight room. Gary Harris though, in his return tonight, 28 minutes from 3 for 2 points. He did have 2 turnovers, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist in 28 minutes. But ironically, he led the team in plus-minus differential. He was plus 10 when he was out of the court.
Oh my gosh, we gotta find some help, and we gotta make some changes here. I think our young talent is good enough. I know we're getting off topic here from our tier list, but we're definitely gonna bring you guys some more Nuggets talk. I know we have a lot of local folks here, kind of interested in Avalanche, Nuggets, Broncos, all those things. So yeah, we'll be talking a lot of some Nuggets here moving forward as well. So especially as the season goes on. But we have a nice, young, talented team. We're great at finding young talent here in Denver when it comes to the Nuggets and drafting well. So hopefully that continues. But here's our top 10 or our top list of tiered shooting guards. So Hope you guys like this list. If we got it right, let us know in the chat. If we got it wrong, let us know in the chat. Also, if you're not following on Twitch, feel free to give us that follow. Make sure that you're hitting that so you know when we go live. Every Wednesday and Sunday, by the way, is when we like to obviously have our normal shows. But if you guys are here, at Facebook, we're going to be next stream. I'm going to show you where you can watch exclusively and follow our Action Lab channel. You can search for it right now on Facebook, but I'm going to provide that link for you next time we go live. That's my bad for not getting that ready for you guys, but I'm not going to be streaming from my own personal as much moving forward. Maybe the next stream will go on my personal side, get you guys all the information you need so that you know where to follow. Otherwise, we're going to be shifting over to that new Facebook page that we just created. So if you're not following us, again, make sure you're getting us on Twitter, on Instagram. We're always posting. And then also make sure that you guys are helping us hit our follower goal, especially on Twitch, because we are always looking to grow our following and have more of you guys in, giving us your opinions, giving us your hot takes, letting us know, what's on your mind, because we love talking to you guys and getting to know you guys more and more. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this. Monder was in the stream giving us some good love. Penix, Stephanie Kell in Facebook chat, Andrew, Belly for Prez, Dark Horse, thanks for the follow on the last stream. Everyone who's watching, I know we had a bunch of people watching on Facebook, so we want to get you guys more involved. So feel free to throw your chats in more and more, and we would love to hear from you. So, Scotty, what else do you got for them?
Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope you have a great end to your week, and we will see you back here. I'll be back on Sunday.
Yep.
We'll also, are you going to have a Friday show?
I think we're going to try to have a Friday show. We're trying to figure out whether or not we're going to stick to Friday, because Friday's been a little bit slower. But now that we have the multi-stream on Facebook, people need something to get through their Friday afternoon. So we're going to try to do a multi-stream for Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch on Friday, I believe. So stay tuned for that as well. And then we will, again, hopefully you have a fantastic rest of your week. We're halfway through, and we will see all of our lovely lab rats here in the lab very, very soon. So thanks for everything, guys. Hope you have a great night.